Value is the only language the world never argues with. Not potential, not intention, not effort. Value. The moment you understand this, the game changes. Until then, you are playing blind, hoping fairness will intervene, hoping someone will notice what you could become instead of what you are positioned as right now. The world does not reward who you are. It rewards what you represent, what you control, what you can move, what breaks when you leave the room. If your absence changes nothing, your presence was never powerful to begin with. Most people think value is moral, that it comes from being reliable, honest, hardworking, or patient. These traits feel valuable because they are praised socially. But praise is cheap. The world praises what it exploits. True value is not praised. It is protected, negotiated with, and sometimes feared. Human psychology responds to scarcity and leverage, not virtue. People say they respect kindness, but they submit to authority. They say they admire humility, but they follow confidence. They say they value loyalty, but they reward results. This contradiction is not hypocrisy, it is instinct. Value is always relative. You are not valuable in isolation. You are valuable compared to alternatives, compared to replacements, compared to silence. When people can easily replace you, they will test you. When they cannot, they adjust their behavior. This is why increasing your value must come before trying to control the game. Control without value is aggression. Value without control is exploitation. The elite understand this balance intuitively. Everyone else learns it painfully. The first uncomfortable truth is this: the world is constantly pricing you. Every interaction is an evaluation. How fast you respond, how much you explain, how easily you agree, how often you tolerate disrespect. None of this goes unnoticed. People may not consciously analyze it, but their nervous system records it. Low-value behavior is rarely dramatic. It is subtle. It looks like over-availability, over-explaining, over-giving, asking instead of deciding, waiting instead of moving, reacting instead of initiating. These behaviors signal that you need the outcome more than the outcome needs you. The moment someone senses that you need them more than they need you, leverage shifts. Respect erodes quietly, demands increase, boundaries blur. This is not personal, it is structural. Increasing your value requires withdrawing energy from places where it produces no leverage. Most people do the opposite. They double down where they are already undervalued, hoping effort will flip perception. It rarely does. Effort without scarcity lowers value further. The world does not reward those who try harder. It rewards those who are harder to replace. To become harder to replace, you must first stop confusing busyness with importance. Busy people are often the most disposable. They carry weight, not power. They are useful, not valuable. When they burn out, the system shrugs and reallocates. Value comes from one of three things: control of resources, control of information, or control of outcomes. Ideally, all three. If you control none, you are at the mercy of those who do. Control of resources means access to money, tools, networks, or assets others need. Control of information means insight, strategy, timing, or knowledge others lack. Control of outcomes means your decisions materially change results. Most people live their lives optimizing for approval instead of control. Approval feels safe, control feels risky, but approval expires the moment the circumstances change. Control compounds. To increase your value, you must become selectively unavailable. Scarcity sharpens perception. When you stop responding immediately, people pay attention. When you stop agreeing automatically, people reassess. When you stop chasing, the frame shifts. This is not manipulation, this is recalibration. The world treats you based on how you treat your own time and energy. Emotionally, this is difficult. You will feel guilt. You will feel like you are letting people down. That feeling is the residue of conditioning. You were taught that being accessible equals being good, but goodness without boundaries invites exploitation. Human psychology respects those who can say no calmly. Anger looks unstable. Justification looks weak. Silence after a clear decision looks powerful. Value also increases when your internal standards rise. Not what you tolerate from others, but what you tolerate from yourself. Weak people negotiate with their own discipline. Strong people decide once and execute daily. The world responds to consistency, not motivation, not intensity. Consistency signals reliability at a high level. When people know what you will and will not accept, they adapt. When you are unpredictable emotionally, they test you. To control the game, you must first see the game. Most people think life is about fairness, honesty, and effort. It is not. Life is about incentives, positioning, and timing. Fairness is a story told to maintain compliance. Every system rewards specific behaviors and punishes others. If you are punished repeatedly, it is not because you are unlucky. It is because you are misaligned with the incentive structure. Ruthless people study incentives. Emotional people argue with them. Control begins when you stop reacting and start predicting. When you understand how people behave under pressure, you no longer take things personally. You take notes. People protect what benefits them. They resist what threatens their status. They support what enhances their image. Once you see this, conversations become clearer. You hear what is said and what is avoided. Increasing your value means becoming outcome-oriented, not effort-oriented. You stop asking, "Did I try my best?" and start asking, "Did this move the needle?" Effort that does not move the needle is training you to stay in place. This shift feels cold at first. That is because it removes comforting illusions. You realize how often you were busy but ineffective, how often you were loyal to systems that were indifferent to you. That realization hurts. Then it frees you. Control the game does not mean dominating everyone around you. That is amateur thinking. Real control is subtle. It is the ability to walk away, the ability to wait, the ability to let others reveal their desperation while you remain composed. Desperation is the fastest way to lose leverage. It makes you rush. It makes you explain. It makes you accept bad terms. The world smells desperation instantly. It may pretend not to, but it adjusts its demands accordingly. To increase value, you must reduce emotional leakage. Stop broadcasting frustration. Stop signaling fear. Stop oversharing plans. Information prematurely revealed loses power. Silence preserves optionality. Powerful people are not mysterious because they are secretive by nature. They are mysterious because they understand timing. They release information when it benefits them, not when it relieves anxiety. You control the game when you control pace. Fast when others are slow, slow when others rush. The one who controls tempo controls pressure. Most people let urgency dictate decisions. Ruthless thinkers create urgency for others while remaining patient themselves. This asymmetry is devastating in negotiations, careers, and relationships. Value also increases when you become psychologically self-contained, when you stop needing validation to act, when approval becomes optional. People feel this immediately. They may not like it, but they respect it. Neediness repels leverage. Independence attracts it. The world does not elevate those who ask to be taken seriously. It elevates those who take themselves seriously first. Behavior always precedes recognition. At some point, you realize that control is not taken. It is granted by those who see your value and fear losing access to it. This is why chasing power fails. Power flows towards scarcity and competence. Increasing your value is not about becoming louder. It is about becoming undeniable. This is where the game begins to tilt. Conversations shift. Offers change. Resistance softens. Not because people suddenly became fair, but because the cost-benefit analysis changed. You are no longer just present. You matter. And once you understand this mechanism, you stop asking how to be liked and start deciding where to be indispensable. This is only the first layer. When you become indispensable, the game stops being about survival and starts being about positioning. You are no longer reacting to the board, you are shaping it. This is where most people fail, because they mistake initial leverage for permanent control. Value must be defended, updated, and sharpened continuously. The world adapts fast. If you stop evolving, you decay. Control is fragile when it is built on one dimension, one skill, one income stream, one relationship, one role. The moment that pillar weakens, pressure returns. Ruthless thinkers diversify leverage. They build redundancy into power. If one door closes, another opens. Optionality is insurance against manipulation. Human psychology gravitates towards certainty. People want to know where they stand. A controlled player understands this and uses it carefully. Too much certainty lowers your value. Too little creates mistrust. The balance is deliberate ambiguity, clear boundaries, unclear limits. People should know what you won't tolerate, but not everything you are capable of. The world tests value by increasing demands. When your value rises, so do expectations. This is not a compliment, it is a probe. Can you deliver under pressure? Will you fold? Will you overextend? Ruthlessness means saying no even when opportunities look flattering, especially then. Overextension is the silent killer of leverage. When you take on too much, quality drops, presence weakens, and dependence grows. Dependence always shifts power away from you. Control requires restraint. You stop chasing scale before structure. Bigger is not always better. Bigger often exposes weakness. Ruthless minds build foundations before expansion. They prefer quiet strength to visible fragility. At this level, the game becomes psychological. People project onto you. They test your reactions. They look for cracks. A single emotional outburst can undo months of positioning. This is why emotional discipline is non-negotiable. Feel everything. Reveal nothing unnecessary. You begin to understand the power of asymmetry. You do not need to be better at everything. You need to be better at the right things. One strategic advantage can outweigh 10 average strengths. The world does not reward balance. It rewards edge. Edge comes from focus, from choosing what not to do, from letting go of ego-driven goals, from refusing to compete on terms designed by others. When you accept someone else's frame, you play their game, and they control the rules. True control is the ability to redefine the frame, to change what matters, to shift attention, to make certain outcomes irrelevant. This is why walking away is so powerful. It collapses the other side's leverage instantly. Most people stay trapped because they are afraid of loss. Ruthless thinkers understand that loss is inevitable. The question is timing. Losing early can create leverage later. Losing late often destroys it. You stop seeing failure as identity and start seeing it as information. What broke? Where did pressure enter? Who gained? This analytical distance prevents emotional spirals and accelerates adaptation. The higher you rise, the fewer people you can trust with full access. This is not paranoia, it is pattern recognition. Information leaks dilute power. The inner circle must be small, aligned, and tested over time. Control also requires managing perception. Reality matters, but perception shapes reactions. You do not need to announce every win. You do not need to defend every accusation. Strategic silence allows narratives to burn out on their own. People grow bored when there is no reaction to feed on. Value is reinforced by standards, not slogans, not motivation. Standards enforced consistently. The moment you tolerate behavior below your standard, your value recalibrates downward in the eyes of others. This happens instantly. Ruthlessness is not rigidity. It is adaptability anchored by principle. You adjust tactics without betraying direction. You bend without breaking. This flexibility is what keeps control dynamic rather than brittle. At this stage, many people confuse calm with passivity. It is not. Calm is the absence of internal chaos. It allows you to see more, wait longer, and strike cleaner. You stop competing for attention and start competing for position. Attention is noisy. Position is quiet and powerful. Those in position do not need to announce themselves. Their influence is felt through outcomes. The game is won long before the final move. By the time others realize what happened, the options are gone. This is not deception. This is foresight. Increasing your value ultimately gives you freedom from urgency, freedom from needing to explain, freedom from chasing validation, freedom from reacting to every provocation. Control the game long enough and something subtle happens. You stop needing control, not because you lost it, but because you internalized it. You know you can rebuild leverage if it's challenged. Confidence replaces anxiety. The world treats you differently now, not with warmth, with caution, with respect, with negotiation. This is the real reward, not dominance over others, but sovereignty over your own decisions. You are no longer managed by circumstances. You manage your exposure to them, and from this position, the game is no longer something you fear. It is something you choose when and if you want to play.